This is Logical Logistics, where we cover shipping, supply chain, logistics, and everything in between. Welcome to the show. All right, welcome to the latest episode of Logical Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Becht, and today joining me is the president of the Express Carriers Association, Paul Steffas. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing well, Joe. Thank you for allowing us to talk about ECA on your forum here.
No, I appreciate you joining us. ECA sounds like a great organization to join for companies out there that want to just link together for business connections. I had Mike Coyle on earlier in a previous episode, and he spoke greatly of the ECA. So you were on my radar to have as a guest since that interview. So thanks for joining us. Tell us about the ECA.
Well, the Express Carriers Association was established over 20 years ago. It originally was a subchapter of the American Trucking Association. It was the Film and Expedited Motor Carriers subchapter. ATA made a decision over 20 years ago not to support certain subchapters. So at that point, the organization had to strike out on its own, which they did. And through the very diligent and hard work of some of the founding fathers back then, the Express Carriers Association was formed. And the primary purpose and the mission of the ECA is to foster business relationships through an innovative and unique networking platform. And we conduct an annual marketplace every year, typically in the spring. And we bring all of our members together, and we put them in front of companies that have shipping needs. And we do it in we do that in a one-on-one interview format. Interviews are pre-scheduled.
All right.
So our carrier members, which is the largest part of our membership, and we're over 200 local and regional carriers now, we provide them with on average 24 appointments with companies that are shipping commodities and shipping goods, direct shippers that are shipping their own commodities, as well as third-party administrators that are arranging transportation for their customers. And we run through a two-day scenario every year. We call it the marketplace.
All right.
Where we put local and regional carriers in this environment where they have an opportunity to speak directly to transportation managers and transportation procurement folks that are looking for an alternative to national and global integrators, where they want to deal direct with a local and regional carrier that's providing both same day, next day, and deferred last mile and first mile pickup and delivery service.
All right.
We've been successful at doing that now for over 20 years. And we're proud to say that this is one of the very few associations that has experienced positive growth in terms of membership and also attendance at our annual marketplace year over year. Specifically over the past 5 years, we've enjoyed on average 5 to 10% growth. And in 2016, we had a record-breaking increase in participation in our annual event. We experienced a growth rate of 25%, which is just unheard of in any trade association organization that's out there today.
That's outstanding. That speaks for itself. So it sounds like it's like a speed connection between companies. Describe, first of all, when does this occur?
Typically, we're scheduling towards the end of March, anywhere through mid-April every year. We try to position the association so it's not conflicting with any other springtime conferences, as well as the holidays, some of the holidays that are sprinkled in through March and April. So we're typically towards the end of March or through mid-April. And you're exactly right, Joe. It is a speed dating concept. The shippers and our carriers and our vendor exhibitors all fill out a profile,
all right,
which highlights what their company is, what they do, where they do it, how they do it, what services they offer. In the case of our vendor exhibitors, what commodities or services or goods they offer. And through that profile process, all of our attendees then get an opportunity to rate or grade the other companies that they would like to schedule interviews with. We have a proprietary technology platform that runs a process and takes those ratings and through that rating system creates the appointments by matching the shipper with the carrier. Carriers can schedule interviews also with vendor members.
Okay.
And then for the last 2 years, we've been running networking tables where if you're a local or a regional carrier and you're looking to build out an agent network, or if you're looking for support in other cities that you don't want to establish a physical presence in, you can schedule interviews with other carrier members that are attending the marketplace.
Oh, wow. So that fantastic, because we live in a world of conferences and networking, and it's really hard to find, in my estimation, a quality event where you actually get things done, and it's not just groups of people patting each other on the back. And it sounds like you have something really quality where people can connect. And in this world of networking, I'm all for social networking, but it only goes so far. And to get an event like yours where people can actually reach out and talk to each other and actually create business and commerce is just excellent. Sounds like a great opportunity.
It really, I tell you, the value to all of the participants. If it's a new prospect or if it's a first-time meeting that you have scheduled, it jump starts the sales process. It cuts through endless phone calls that are not going to be returned, endless emails that are not going to be returned. If you're going through the cold calling, it cuts the cold calling right out of the equation, and it puts you in front of the decision maker in procuring goods and services, or a team member of a group that's looking to procure transportation services. So it really jump starts the entire sales process. So the next time you make that phone call or the next time you send an email to that contact that you just made, they're going to know who you are, what your goods and services that you're offering, what you provide, and where you provide it. And you're going to get a response because they've already expressed an interest in potentially doing business with your company.
All right, great. So once again, my guest today is Paul Steffas. He's president of the Express Carriers Association. Paul, what's your background? How did you become president of this organization?
I started over 30 years ago in the transportation business. I started out in the armored car business.
Oh, wow. Did you carry a weapon?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, because how did you get into that and then go into forwarding and courier work?
I got into the armored car business through a contact that I had met in college.
Okay.
And ever since that, throughout my entire career, as I moved through my career path, I never secured a position by a classified ad or in today's day and age, any online recruiting, it was all through networking. It was through a connection that I had known, and they were aware of a position or that someone was recruiting for a position that could be a fit. Back in those days, many armored car companies ran a parallel courier division, as they were primarily servicing banks.
Okay.
The banks had a need to move cash in and out of the branch banking system, but at the same time, they had a daily need to move checks in and out of the branch banking system. So they went hand in hand, but it was two different route structures, and the armored cars did not move checks, and the courier vehicles did not move cash.
Okay.
And then moving forward, Wells Fargo was one of the first. Wells Fargo armored car, who's no longer in existence. They through a series of acquisitions, but they developed a separate standalone courier division, being Pony Express.
Okay.
And Pony Express was established. Brinks did the same thing. Purolator, back in the day, Purolator started in America as an armored car company, and they established a courier division. Purolator grew to be, at the time, one of the strongest ground line haul, first mile, last mile delivery services in the country. And to fast forward through the evolution of our industry, as the banking business started to go away with courier companies, the ones that survived diversified into moving other commodities and getting away from the bank business. The Check 21 Act really killed moving the check, physically moving the checks, and today everything is imaged and done electronically anyways. So that's really how I got my start. That led me into working for a series of companies that were starting to build out regional delivery networks. From there, I jumped into the air cargo business. I worked for a company, Financial Air Express, which later became AirNet.
I remember them. Yeah. It was fax. They had right. So there was a lot of bank transactions, but they had a great service where I remember here at Midway, it was like a 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. cutoff, so we could get all those late night law firm shipments out on their planes. Yeah.
Yep, they ran a fleet of Learjets and small prop planes, and they ran actually 3 hubs each night in Columbus, Ohio. The first one turned at midnight, the second one turned at 2:30, and the last one turned at 5 o'clock. And that enabled shippers on the East Coast. AirNet was able to provide shippers in New York City a pickup at 11 p.m. at night and a delivery in Los Angeles by 6 a.m. the following morning.
And that came out of Teterboro, New Jersey, correct?
Teterboro was a hub.
Okay.
The main hub was in Columbus, Ohio. There was a hub in Teterboro, New Jersey, and there was also a hub in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And those were the 3 hubs that ran every night. And that gave me exposure to a lot of different businesses that had shipping needs other than just the banks. From there, I became introduced to a regional carrier on the East Coast that was looking to build out a ground line haul system from New York down to Virginia, Southern Virginia. And from there, I transitioned over to running a company in Denver, Colorado, which is multifaceted and offers same day, next day transportation, and even nighttime distribution.
Okay.
And with all of those companies that I have been with, every one of them benefited from being a member of the Express Carriers Association. And through a colleague that I had known over the years, had encouraged me to become active on the board of the ECA because I really believe very strongly in the mission, where the association, again, was providing local and regional carriers opportunities to get in front of decision makers that many of us would have never known how to get in touch with that decision maker, or it would have taken us a very long period of time to get to the right person to begin the sales cycle. And I instantly thought it was a unique and innovative platform, and I just thought it was fantastic that there was an association out there that was the primary mission was to grow your company, to take your company to the next level.
Yeah.
And grow and do what we're all trying to do, and that is increase top line revenue and manage it into good bottom line profitable revenue.
Well, I'm excited. I'm going to join the conference for the first time in March, but it's exciting for me because I've actually talked to companies that belong to the association, and the fact that, as you know, everyone knows 2008 was a horrible year, but you've helped companies grow in an economy that was not growing. So once again, it speaks for itself. When did you join the association, and then how did you migrate to the position of president?
I first was elected to the board approximately 12 years ago.
Okay.
And as the board evolved and grew, we've improved through process improvement. The way we recruit and staff with board members. And again, I was approached by, at that point, some of the executives on the board, and I was asked to get in line for to the succession line to become president. This is actually my second term.
Okay.
I was president. I was president 7 years ago, and I did step off the board for a period of time. I think every association needs to revitalize with new, fresh ideas, fresh blood. So I stepped off, and the association was looking at going through some major changes. Again, positive changes to take it to the next level. Change how some of the internal management structure was working. So I was again approached to come back on and get in line and succeed up through to the presidency, which again I've done that one more and one final time, by the way.
Okay. And how long is your tenure this time?
There are no term limits for officers,
okay.
But you have to be reelected every year.
All right.
And our executive committee right now is going through a decision-making process of what is the optimal number of terms for executives to serve in order to be most effective. And we're actually going through that decision-making process right now. So then we can chart the course with the current board members. We have, I will say, I think, the greatest group of talented board members that I've ever seen in the industry today. They're hardworking. They're supported by just a fantastic executive director and management company. So we're in that decision-making process right now. How do we craft terms for officers to be most effective and return really the greatest value to our members? It's all about the members. If we're not returning value to our members, there's no reason for the association to exist.
Okay. So with saying that, how does one become a member? And can anybody become a member, or who are you looking for to become a member, and how do you become a member?
There are several different membership classifications.
Okay.
And in order to attend the event as a local or a regional carrier, the carrying company must be a member. And all of our local and regional carrier members will apply for membership initially, and there's a committee that will vet that local or that regional carrier to make sure they truly meet the criteria of being a local or regional carrier.
Okay.
We want to protect the local and regional carrier members. It would be self-defeating for a national integrator or a national carrier that has a presence in 28 or 32 or 48 markets throughout the country. It really would not provide the carrier member with the value we have embedded in our mission statement. So we vet those members.
Okay.
That goes through a committee process. And then the board votes on all new applications based on the recommendation of the carrier vetting committee. Our vendor members and our shipper members simply go through an application process. There isn't a stringent vetting process, and vendor members and shipper companies do not need to be members in order to attend the conference. The only category or classification of attendees is carriers that are required to be members.
Okay. All right. And once again, that's in March, correct?
This year coming up in Dallas, we're at the end of March.
Okay.
But the following year, we're still finalizing those dates. It may be the end of March. It may be beginning of April.
Right.
But that's the time frame. It's always end of March to mid-April time frame.
Is it always in a warm locale?
Right now we are in a 3-city rotation.
Okay.
So we're rotating right now. The 2016 marketplace was in Phoenix, Arizona.
All right.
And the 2017 marketplace will be in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And the 2018 marketplace will be in Orlando, Florida.
Not bad.
So that's our city rotation right now.
Okay.
Is Phoenix, Dallas, Orlando. And the reason we do that, Joe, is so we don't have our West Coast carrier members or shipper members, whatever member or participant you might be, so you're not constantly having to travel to the East Coast. Exactly. And vice versa. So it kind of spreads the travel pain across the board, where you're not, if you're in the West, you're not always going to going east or vice versa.
Oh, that's great. That's that's another plus. Once again, my guest here at Logical Logistics is Paul Steffas. He's president of the ECA, which is the Express Carriers Association. Paul, what's the best way to reach you and the association?
You can go to our website, www.expresscarriers.org.
Okay.
And there are links directly to our management office, all right, as well as there's a profile online for every one of our board members with their contact information. So you can direct link to a board member, or you can direct link to our management office. And if it comes in through the management office, depending on the inquiry, the management office, our executive director, who is very experienced in this industry, will route it to the appropriate board member, or they'll address the inquiry directly from the management office. Okay, so for everyone that's listening out there, the best way to contact the ECA is the expresscarriers.org, correct? Correct. All right. So finally, I ask this question of most of my guests. The term logistics is so overused nowadays. And I wanted to ask you,
how do you what's your definition of logistics?
Logistics, from a very high level, logistics is managing the supply chain, managing the movement of goods and commodities from their inception to the final user of the good or the commodity. So it's managing the supply chain, every segment along the way, and some companies are involved in managing the last mile of the supply chain, or the middle segment of the supply chain, or the beginning of the supply chain, and some companies out there manage it from beginning to end. But my perspective is it's logistics is managing the supply chain.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Our guest today is Paul Steffas, president of the Express Carriers Association, also known as the ECA. Best way to reach them is expresscarriers.org. Paul, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time on Logical Logistics. This is your host, Joe Becht, signing out.
Click the subscribe button for new videos every week and download us and review us on iTunes. Visit www.beslogistics.net for more logistics, transportation, and warehousing resources. Thanks for watching.